Welcome to the Sports Bros Podcast, featuring the almighty B-Live, the money man Scotty D, and your host, the head of creative Eddy Kool. The Sports Bros Podcast, by the fan, for the fan, talking sports just the way you like it. And without any further ado, let's give it up for the Sports Bros. We talking sports. It's Tuesday, so you know what that means. It's time once again for your favorite sports podcast, none other than the Sports Bros Podcast. We got another episode here for you. I think B-Live was like, is this 159 or 160? I lost count.
This I believe is 160. I hope so.
Hey,
we're gonna go with 160. If it ain't, we'll figure it out afterwards.
Yeah.
Hey, it's what we do. We're unedited. We do what we do anyway. We ain't professionals. We are fanatics.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Yeah. We are fanatics. I go by the name of the HOC, Eddy Kool. And as I said before, another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast. It is so much going on in the world of sports. I'm not going to waste no more time. I'm here to introduce two of the best co-hosts in the world, coming fresh off of his birthday, the almighty B-Live.
What's happening? What's going in the world to oh wait, I'm sorry. I'm a little bit older, so y'all got to bear with me just a little bit. What's going on there? What's going on there, young whippersnappers? What's happening? What's going on? No, I was kidding.
Oh, no.
Man, this is a loaded episode, man. So much has happened this past weekend and what's going into the week ahead. Yo! So much to talk about. Let's just go ahead and get into it. My retirement benefits, my Social Security is kicking in, so I'm excited about that. That I ain't there yet, but it is what it is. But let's talk to somebody. Let's go ahead and introduce the other guy that has a little bit more experience than me about being old. Go ahead and introduce that other guy that's on the show. You know what I'm saying? He has just a few more years experience than me, so yeah, he's got some expertise on being old. So let's go ahead and do that.
Oh boy, here come them zingers already. And we got the other guy, Mr. Main Event, Mr. Next Caller, please himself. He is the pride of Washington, Pennsylvania. The one, the only, the money man, Scotty D.
In the summertime, when the weather is high, you can stretch right up and touch the sky. It is hot. It is summertime, boys. We're like officially there. And happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there who are listening. This is Father's Day, right? Isn't this Father's Day weekend coming up? I believe. Yep. Yeah, Father's Day weekend. A lot going on. The NBA Finals, the NHL Stanley Cup Finals getting ready to kick off. In case you missed an earlier episode, it was a spoiler. I told you who was going to be in the Stanley Cup Finals this year, and it's just me doing my thing, helping be live along this sports thing. I digress. Let's talk some
broken
sports here.
Clock is right twice a day.
Oh boy, fellas, calm down. We got a lot of shows. Save it for the rest of the show. So with that being said, let's go ahead and hop right into the top of the order. All right, let's get this thing started. Here it is, the top of the order. All right, let's go ahead and get into it, fellas. Yes, the top of the order, and let's lead off with the Golden State Warriors and the Boston Celtics. It was Game 5 tonight, and the Warriors win at home by 10, 104-94. Scotty D, what are your takeaways from tonight's game?
That the Celtics blew it.
Yep.
They blew it. You have a chance for Steph Curry could not make a single three-pointer, and you didn't win the game. Kind of like how in game 1, the Golden State let Boston get one in on them with Tatum. I think he scored, 11 or 12, I think, the first game of the series. So Golden State jumps out to a 16-point lead in the first quarter. And mind you, the biggest part of that damage was done from inside the arc. Golden State taking the ball to the hole, shooting high percentage shots. Boston started off 0 for their first, 11 or 12 from 3-point range.
Mm-hmm.
And in the fourth quarter, I think they shot like 1 of 10 or 2 of 10, something like that. I don't know specifically what it was. At one point, it was 1 of 9 from 3-point range. They got hot in the middle and closed the gap, but they started and ended the same way. The first quarter and fourth quarter, ice cold from downtown and turning the ball over. And then they missed free throws throughout the game. They missed, would you say, be live they were from the free throw line?
21 of 31. They missed 10, and majority of those misses were late in the game.
And they lost by 10.
Yep.
So it was a night of missed opportunities for Boston to get back home Thursday with a chance to close out. I think this was a missed opportunity because Golden State shot 9 of 40 from 3-point range. They were miserable. At one point, they were 3 of 24. They squandered that. It was a missed opportunity for them too because they could have put this thing to bed early, up 16. And Boston had nothing going at all, and Golden State just fired away from 3-point range and let Boston back into it. And B-Live, you texted me at halftime and said, "Here comes the third quarter. It's the Warriors' quarter," and it really wasn't on Monday night. It really wasn't their quarter. A big shot at the end, I think, kind of stole momentum back when Poole hit a three.
Jordan Poole.
Yeah, he pulled out, banked one in and gave them a 1-point lead, I think, going into the fourth. But Boston, Boston blew it with the fundamentals, the free throw line and the turnovers. And that, to me, I mean, they played. I thought they played a pretty good defensive game because they held Steph Curry to no 3-pointer. He was really off of his game, and I think that was it can be attributed to their defense. Klay Thompson got hot a little bit later in the game, but he started off cold. And it was Andrew Wiggins was the guy that came through for him tonight. I mean, Golden State needed somebody else to step up, and Wiggins was a guy. But it definitely one that Boston let get away from them. Be live?
I'm going to go ahead. You mentioned it already. I'm going to mention it again. For those that like fundamentally sound basketball, I know you're in pain right now. You're suffering because I'm telling you, just across the board, all the way across the board, that was one of the sloppiest games I've seen. I'm talking about even like shooting, the distributing, half-court offense, transition offense, defense, closeout, officiating, all of the above was one of the sloppiest games I have ever seen in my entire life. And let me say this perfectly clear. And this even applies to you, Wardell, Stephen Curry. I know you are the greatest shooter of all time. We're going to give you that title. But for the love of God, if it is a 2-on-1 fast break opportunity, go toward the basket.
I think he was so desperate to get an open look that he camped out there. I really believe that. But at that point, it was a crucial point of the game. It was only like the lead was somewhere around 7, 8, 9, somewhere like that. You need the points.
Not just the points. Put 2 in the basket. You didn't even get a shot off because instead of taking 2 steps toward the basket, you took 7 away, thinking you were going to have an open 3, and it wasn't open because you took that many more steps up. But okay, let me bring it back.
That's not how this works.
Yeah, that was frustrating to watch. I was frustrated.
Oh, that pissed me off to no end. But I will also say this. Thank you, Andrew Wiggins. Thank you. Because out of all of that sloppiness we saw today, you were that beacon of hope, taking it to the basket, getting those high percentage shots. We're going to disregard that one very, very, very bad 3-pointer that almost broke the backboard. We're gonna disregard that altogether.
Well, he was actually 0 for 6 from 3-point range. I didn't realize that. He was 0 for 6 in downtown. Him and Steph combined for 0 for 15. But Wiggins also finished 12 of 23 from the basket or from the floor. So yeah, taking to the basket and taking mid-range jumpers. It was a key for Wiggins.
Yeah.
That was the performance that saved the night for Golden State. Not to mention they out-fouled Boston 28-18. A lot of whistles I thought being blown, particularly.
That was my point on officiating. There was some floppage going on, and Marcus Smart, you stop it. But there was a little slight push off by Klay Thompson. But then Jordan Poole with his best acting job. You know what? I'm nitpicking on certain things. Andrew Wiggins, thank you. To whoever out there to all of our listeners, if any of you placed a bet on Golden State winning this game with Steph Curry not hitting a three-pointer, please buy 2 lottery tickets immediately. One for yourself, one for yours truly. I will pay you gladly on Tuesday because we gonna win this together. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It was my idea. Your intuition thinking that the Warriors could win a game with Steph Curry not hitting a three-pointer. Nobody thought of that. I know they did. But let me throw some other things out there real quick, because there's definitely one performance that really is standing out and is turning into a liability. I wanted to throw some stats at you real quick. This particular player right here, some people have dubbed and put him into the Hall of Fame for a lot of his different, what he brings to the game. This series alone, he has played 176 minutes. That's give or take about 35 minutes a game. He has scored a whopping total 25 points in those 176 minutes, 35 minutes a game. He has committed 24 fouls, 25 points, 24 fouls, and has a plus-minus rating now after Game 5 of +4. Any guesses of who that is?
Yeah, you're talking about Draymond, obviously.
Draymond Green.
Woo, this boy. I mean,
he was better on Monday night though than he was in previous games.
That's what I'm saying. He still hadn't redeemed himself. But boy, before this game, you gotta understand I had some notes before the game, but we pulled a little change in the routine. So I'm still not going away from it. Draymond Green, bruh, you were.
He looks terrified to shoot.
He's just dangerously close. He's turning dangerously close to Ben Simmons.
Oh God!
I said what I said.
I thought that it was more evident in Game 4 in Boston. Right. It actually looked like on Sunday night or Saturday night or Friday, whatever that other game was. Friday. Yeah. It looked to me like he was almost like shook, like intimidated by what's his name, Williams with the crazy hair. It's like he's afraid to shoot. Yeah, he's gonna get his shot blocked.
Robert Williams. The third. No,
he passed up layups in the Monday night game and in the previous game that were wide open to kick the ball out or to pass to other people. And he is a good passer. Don't get me wrong.
You're right.
He does very well pass. And when he pushes the ball before he does well, he just doesn't do it a lot. You know, usually if he gets a rebound, he gives it up. But yeah, he looks like a shell of the guy we saw in the 5 previous finals a few years ago. No doubt about it.
Yeah. I'm sort of like mind blown because this is the same Draymond Green that played alongside Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, and Steph Curry. You would think he would have a more elevated role, but I feel like he's digressed even further with the quote-unquote emergence of Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole has not been that great in the finals either. So I would think this would be the opportunity. Hey, Draymond, you're the veteran. You're the vocal leader of this team. And there was a moment he had a nice little, he faked the dish and took it to the rack. I was like, okay, I see you, Draymond. And then he gets foul happy, but then that's also on the refs. But I'm still, here's the thing, like Draymond, I don't think he's afraid. I just think he's at a point now where he's like, I don't want to ruin the game because I have 3 shooters that can shoot way better than me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
but I think his confidence is shot too because he doesn't take very many actual shots, but even under the rim now he's passing on opportunities to score layups.
Ben Simmons,
right? Yeah, that's what I mean. He has no confidence. This is a guy that in the finals game before I think scored over 30 points in a finals game a few years ago. I mean, it's not like he doesn't have skill. He's not like Dennis Rodman, where Rodman was never going to shoot because he quit practicing that when he went to San Antonio. Like between Detroit and San Antonio, he decided I'm not shooting anymore. I'm just gonna go grab some boards. But he wasn't a shooter. And Draymond is like getting to that point where it's all he's doing is trying to play defense and get under the other team's skin. And he almost did something really stupid there. Like, why even risk in a crucial point getting a technical when he's trying to take the ball off Jason Tatum and he's walking back into the back? I mean, at that point, you're up like 8 or 9 points. Don't even just don't do that. Just don't do that. I mean, I know that he does take some of the other team out of their game from time to time, but that was, and enough's enough with that stuff. Do what you're supposed to, get to the bench, to get into your huddle and finish the game and polish these guys off. And they did that with him on the bench. I didn't love his 6th personal foul call. I thought that fouled him out. But
yeah, that wasn't a foul, but I just use it for stats because I need him to do better anyway. Absolutely. But hey, ladies and gentlemen, I don't have a milk carton on me, but has anybody? Because I need to shift it to, because Golden State didn't play a great game at all. They won though. So on the other side, there's plenty of what really is going on. Got my milk carton has let's see, Jaylen Brown 5 for 18 shooting, 0 for 5 from 3-point range. I mean, Boston didn't shoot the 3 ball either. They were 11 for 32, 34%. They didn't shoot it that well either.
Mm-mm.
And then on top of that, I guess they just swapped places 3rd and 4th quarter. It was the 4th quarter Warriors today. So they came out blazing that 4th quarter. I was like, oh, here we go. And man,
Tatum didn't play bad. I mean, Tatum led the team with 27. I mean, he didn't have a bad game. He was 5 of 9 from downtown. He just doesn't seem to have that take over and crucial moment thing every game. Like sometimes we see it, sometimes we don't. And like I say, he played a good game, but he just didn't take over. Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I look at it this way also. Something that is glaring that Boston usually thrives on. Their role players, the bench play was non-existent.
Nobody. Very cold.
They had 10 points off the bench total. That's 3 from Grant Williams, 3 from one. I'm sorry. You know what? The 2 3-pointers by some dudes that never get off the bench. But out of their primary bench players, Grant Williams and Derek White and Pritchard, 4 points. Derek White had 1 point in 21 minutes. That's not going to do it because Golden State's bench, Gary Payton II with 15 points, Jordan Poole with 14. I mean, that getting it from other places. Andrew Wiggins, of course. And then, that's really the difference of the game. And that's also scary that Steph Curry can have an off night and Golden State still wins in that fashion. You've got to take advantage of that.
Let me ask you this, B-Live. This, if I'm not mistaken, and Eddie chime in on this too. If I'm not mistaken, I think this was the first time Boston's lost back-to-back games since January. They have in the playoffs lost and then come back with a vengeance the following game. Is that happening now? Are we going back to Golden State for Game 7, or do you think that was kind of they lost their heart? That Golden State took their heart tonight, took didn't have their best stuff and still were able to win. Because I personally think Boston's going to turn this thing around and win on Thursday.
I think that tonight, what Golden State, tonight what Golden State showed us about, look, Steph can have an off game, but somebody else other than Klay Thompson can pick it up. Because it was kind of like, well, damn, because I'm like, okay, well, damn, Steph ain't hit a 3 yet. What the hell's going on? And Klay, either he hit a 2 or Clanksville, USA, or nothing's going on. And Draymond, he just running around the court, mouth hanging wide open. And then, Jordan Poole, Jordan Poole, he finally woke up a little bit. And I didn't expect Andrew Wiggins to have the game that he did. And so it was like, okay, well, they got beat by Andrew Wiggins. That's what happened tonight. They got beat by Andrew Wiggins. Yeah, they got beat by Andrew Wiggins, because Steph was just ice cold, couldn't do anything from beyond the arc. I think that's the first time I've ever seen that in the history of him shooting, going ice cold from beyond the arc. And so Andrew Wiggins said, well, I got to pick up slack. I got to make it happen. I got to put the team on my shoulders for this one night. One night.
But B-Live a moment ago cited these 3 or 4 players who combined for 4 points. That's been uncharacteristic of that team, of the Celtics in the playoffs. So what do you think, B? They going to heat that? Those guys going to heat it back up and get this thing back to Game 7?
Here's the problem. Here's the problem. For the first 4 games of this series, Steph Curry, the whole weight was on Steph Curry. He couldn't count on the other players to hit. Klay Thompson has been cold this series. He's been cold. He has a splash every now and again, but as opposed to him getting you 20 to 25, he's getting you 10 to 15. And those points are pivotal. It took him scoring 43 points for them to win Game 4. And he goes cold this game, and the Warriors still find a way to win. I honestly think
he had 21. He wasn't that cold. He was cold early, and then he did get going.
But essentially, Steph Curry only scored 16. I'm not saying Klay Thompson, but Klay Thompson usually can get you 20. This was he's been up and down. He's not himself yet. He's not. It's not Splash Brothers yet. You got Splash Uncle and Splash Nephew. Because that's what it's been. Yeah, but this game right here, I think Steph Curry is going to look at this game. He's going to be like, this has to be it. He wants to close this game out in 6. He doesn't want the added pressure of closing this in 7. Steph Curry is taking on sort of a heelish nature, especially in the garden when he starts to when he gets the shimmy in him, when the mouthpiece on the side. I think Steph Curry goes off for 40. I think he ends it in Boston, and then they come back and have the parade. He gets his MVP. He gets the Finals MVP. I think this is almost a nail in the head. I honestly believe that he's going to go off. I think this is going to be a collective effort. Draymond, I think they're going to limit his minutes. I honestly believe they're going to limit his minutes. He might get 20 to 25 minutes. They're gonna have Wiggins in there a little bit more.
He'll be in 30 at least. Steve Kerr's not going to pull him in a closeout game unless he gets into foul trouble. I picked before the series. I picked Golden State in 6, and I'm not convicted of it because I think Boston is gonna. I think these guys are going to be so fired up to save the season. They got nothing to lose. I think that basket's going to look enormous to those role players on Thursday night.
They've got everything to lose. What you mean they have nothing to lose? They lose this game. That's it. They have everything.
They're going out guns blazing at this point. You got to. I mean,
okay, that's what I'm saying. That I think that's the analogy that you're going for is that they have.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. I mean.
I never know what you mean. Sometimes some of your old analogies
oh boy,
dated, because I understand it's a little bit past your bedtime right now because we're recording after the game on Monday night.
Absolutely right.
Yep.
I had to put in one last.
But I think that it's going to go bad. I think Boston's going to muster it up one last time. and I think Golden State's going to win at home. Here's what I do if I'm Steve Kerr. I sit Steph on Thursday. I rest him for the final game, so he has all of his legs fully rested, lots of energy on Sunday. I don't even dress him on Thursday night. I do load management right here in the finals.
Not in the damn finals. Oh,
go to bed. Even show's over. Wow.
Ladies,
put him to sleep.
Oh man. With that being said, that's it.
And I'm picking. I know we're going to talk golf here in a few minutes. I'm picking Jordan Spieth to win the U.S. Open too. How about that?
Yeah, we got some LIV Golf Super League Challenge talk coming up soon. All the good stuff. Stay tuned to the Sports Bowls podcast. Coming up next, we'll be talking Stanley Cup hockey.
You need to go to sleep too. I'm going with Justin Thomas to win the U.S. Open.
My man, Justin Thomas.
Yep. Coming up next, we're going to be talking about the Stanley Cup Finals. The stage is set. Let's see what we got to say about it right after this. Moving along from the NBA Finals, now we dive into the Stanley Cup Finals. We have the well-rested Colorado Avalanche representing the Western Conference, taking on the battle-tested, reigning, defending Stanley Cup champions 2 times coming out of the Eastern Conference, the Tampa Bay Lightning. Scotty D, he did predict in the Stanley Cup, but a few of us, me and B, I felt otherwise about the East. But Scotty D, give us a preview of this here Stanley Cup final.
I think it's the 2 best teams in hockey this year, and it doesn't always happen that way in sports every year. And I know during the regular season, Florida had a better record than Tampa, but Tampa, even down 2-0 to the Rangers, I felt like they still had a really good chance. They had to win that game 3 at home, and they took care of business on home ice, and then they didn't lose again. I kind of felt like the Rangers were like a little bit early. Like they've been building this young team the last couple of years. They finally are starting to come of age. They got hot. It looked like, sadly as a Penguin fan, it looked like the Penguins had their number in the first round and let them get away. And then Carolina couldn't beat them in Madison Square Garden. Carolina let them off the hook. It felt like this Rangers team been playing. They were streaking. They were hot. And to their credit, a great season. And I think you're going to see them in the postseason for years to come because they're a good young team. However, when the going got tough in the 6th game, Tampa Bay gives up a power play goal, ties at 1-1, and their veteran Stamkos steps up and scores a goal, and that was all she wrote. And Tampa, that's when you have a team that's that talented and a veteran team, they don't get too excited when they're down 2-0. They don't get excited whenever they give up a game-tying goal. They just they press on. Having said that, I think they are running into the best team in hockey. The odds makers had it at the beginning of the season. I trusted them because Colorado had not had good postseason success the last couple of years, and they look to be one of the better teams in the league. So I went with them at the beginning of the season. I said they're going to win it all this year. And in hockey, you just never know what can happen. But here we actually have what I believe are the 2 best teams going at it this year. And I think this thing's going at least 6. I think they start in Colorado the first 2 games. I think Colorado might have the same issue that Tampa had in the last series, and that was sitting and waiting too long for the other team to play. I could see Tampa coming in and winning game 1 in Colorado. I think they can split on each other's ice the first 4 games. And then I think we're looking at a best of 3. I think they're going to be tied after 4, and we're going to be looking at a best of 3. And I like Colorado in that scenario. I think Colorado is going to get it done this year. That's my limited hockey knowledge with my 2 cents. Any thoughts here, guys?
Well, I agree with you on a couple aspects when it comes to hockey. When it comes to this Stanley Cup final, Tampa Bay is absolutely battle tested. They know how to get the job done when it gets to this particular time of the year. They've done it twice in a row. They won the bubble. They won the year after, and now this has been like the first full year of like normalcy, so to speak. I want to lean more whenever it comes down to just getting deep into a season. The one constant I believe in, it really came true in the Eastern Conference final. goalkeeping wins. And you had two of the best goalies going after it when it came to the Rangers and the Lightning. But Vasilevsky just stopped everything. At the end of the day, when your legs are no longer underneath you, the game slows down. It comes to who is in front of that net. And Vasilevsky just proved to all of us, and what he's done seemingly throughout, he's stopping what anybody brings to the net. And the Rangers threw almost everything. They threw the kitchen sink at Tampa Bay. But
you have to admit, though, in Game 6, his defense greatly helped him out. He didn't have a ton of saves to make. If his defense plays like that, it makes him a lot more confident, because he looked shaky a couple times early in Games 2 and 3. Even they won Game 3, but he looked a little shaky early. But they're going to have that defense against Colorado, because Colorado's scoring 6 and 8 goals a game in some of these postseason games.
Yeah.
So if his defenseman can get out there and block shots and keep the pucks from getting to the net, then I don't see any reason why Tampa can't win this series. I just think that Colorado is going to. Colorado is almost like Tampa was. Remember a couple years ago when Tampa had one of the greatest regular seasons in history and went out in the first round, I think to a sweep, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And then they've come back now, and now they're in their third Stanley Cup in a row. The first time that's happened since Edmonton in the 80s, like 82, 83, 84, I believe, somewhere in, you know what I'm talking about, or in that early era.
Yeah.
And
Colorado's
kind of falling like that.
You were in your teenage years, and I was just born, so you know a little bit more about that. Back to
40-year-old, fresh at 40.
Ain't nothing fresh about being 40.
We are both in our 40s, B-Live. We are both in our 40s, so there you have it.
I got 10 years of being in my 40s. You've got less than one, so all right, cool. But
wow,
I'm gonna say this: it ain't about us and our ages. It's with. At the end of the day, man, I can tell you one thing about hockey players. Good Lord, I don't know if I have the inner fortitude to jump in front of a puck traveling at nearly 100 miles an hour. I can't do that.
They're a special breed.
Woo, there was one day it went off of one guy's wrist. I can't remember his name, but man, you could see that he just these dudes are brave. They got great dental plans. But
yeah. Man. And they're padded up, but sometimes they get through. Sometimes that padding doesn't do enough to stop it.
That's what I'm saying. Like you can wear a bulletproof vest, you still gonna feel it when you.
That's right. Yeah,
it's gonna catch you all in your chest, but it does save you from dying. But that's a whole nother situation. I'm gonna go the opposite. I think Tampa Bay. I think they're gonna win. They're gonna split. I think Tampa Bay pulls it off in 6. I just really think there's just something about the road that they've come across, and now on a historic level, win 3 straight Stanley Cups, especially in a day and age of parity when it comes to, any sport, really, any of the major sports. It is extremely tough to repeat, let alone three-peat. Do we know of any team in our era that's three-peated anything outside of your 90s Bulls and your 2000s Lakers? That's basketball, but any other sport, three-peat?
No, not actually to three-peat. I mean, the Dodgers have, I think, went to the World Series 3 years in a row, but didn't win. And I think they did, but anyway, three-peating, so even getting back there is already an accomplishment. Like I said, it hasn't happened since Edmonton in the 80s. I mean, that's a long time ago. It just shows. And I think we've talked before. I think hockey is like one of the hardest sports out of all of them to be the best team and to get to the top, because so many things can happen in 3 best-of-7 series just to get to the Stanley Cup Finals. An injury here or there, a weird bounce in a puck in overtime. Any silly little thing can change trajectory of the road to the Stanley Cup. So kudos to the Lightning. I mean, they're a historically good team, and it's going to be interesting because, like I said, Colorado seems like they're on a mission and are scoring a high volume of goals throughout. So it's going to be very exciting, and I look forward to it. Wednesday night, Game 1.
All right, so Scotty, go ahead, be like
irresistible force meets unmovable object. Colorado's story versus Tampa Bay's defense is going to come to a head I am watching every single game. I've loved this because it's rejuvenated my love for hockey. It's such a wonderful sport to watch, especially in the playoffs. And this is exactly you can't ask for more for a better series, except for people north of the border that still can't get any Canadians into the Stanley Cup.
It's your classic Stanley Cup matchup. Tampa Bay versus Colorado. Yeah. I mean, it's your Stanley Cup. It's your traditional Stanley Cup
at least Colorado, you could say, is associated with snow and cold a little bit more. Yeah, Tampa Bay. Yeah, no, I don't. Just ice. Tampa Bay. Yeah, Florida. Yeah, okay. Hey, it is what it is at this point in time, and hey, I'm here for it. I'm here for every bit of it. I would like to see my Hurricanes in there. They're going to be back. They're going to be back soon. I see Hurricanes. They're going to have. I mean, as long as my man, they keep that core together, and I can't even remember.
Are we talking about the Carolina Hurricanes right now?
Rob Brindamore, yeah. As long as Brindamore is there, Carolina's going to be competitive. Yes, I know I'm digressing. Let me digress. I wanted my team to be there. Just as much as you wanted your team to be there. It's okay. Okay. Colorado versus Tampa Bay. Man, what a run for the city of Tampa, just period, when it comes to sports. Jesus. I mean, that's just unprecedented, the amount of success that they've had across the board. So, hey, I see Tampa Bay in 6. I'm going Tampa Bay in 6. Scotty D, you said Colorado in 6, right?
I'm going to take Colorado in 7.
Oh, 7? All right.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay in 7. It's going to be a slugfest.
I'm here for it.
Tampa Bay in 7. And like you said, B-Live, I was telling someone the other day at work, I said, here's what you got to realize about Tampa Bay. They won it in the bubble. And then 2 months later, the season started. And then they won it again. And then the season started on time. And now here they are back in Stanley Cup Finals. You got to say within that 3.5 year period of time, that's be the shortest time to win and defend a major sports championship. Because I don't remember the last time a major sports team has ever had that much window to defend their championship. It's a small one. I was like, well, damn, they really just do that. They really just do that. So, Stanley Cup Finals. We finally got it. And just like the NBA Finals that we just watched, it's going to be on ABC. Ain't that something?
Yeah, they got ABC for the NBA Finals. ABC, ESPN, that big mouse got the Stanley Cup Finals too. Man, oh man, the sports world will be watching.
Yep. And speaking of watching, Scotty D got a whole big old eye full of UFC 275. Of course, I always work on Saturday nights. Yeah, that's going to change one day. I guarantee you that. And Scotty D, he said somebody won by using the Jericho effect. Somebody got choked out within at the 11th hour. Give us the recap, Scotty D.
Yuri I have a hard time saying Yuri. Yeah, he's your new light heavyweight champion, beating Glover Teixeira, and that was a travesty because Glover Teixeira had this thing in the bag, and I just think the fatigue caused him to be sloppy in the last 30 seconds of the bout, and he got choked out. And that's why they have 5 rounds of 5 minutes, not 5 rounds of 4.5 minutes, because if they did, Glover Teixeira would still be champion. That match was a classic. It was a bloodbath. Both guys nearly ended the other several times throughout the fight. It was one of those fights that never a dull moment. Sometimes you get into a ground and pound situation and it's boring, but these guys just kept reversing each other and busting each other. It was an instant classic. It'll probably be a fight that at some point will be inducted into the Hall of Fame. A big takeaway for me from that night, though, was not a title that changed hands, but a title that should have changed hands, and that was the women's flyweight championship. Valentina Shevchenko has looked basically unbeatable now for a couple years. She's won 8 fights in a row coming into Saturday night and fought the Talia Santos, an underdog from Brazil. I think she was number 4 ranked, and I believe that she clearly lost the fight. She lost, I believe, rounds 1, 2, and 3 convincingly. The judges didn't agree with me, but in every ounce of that, or every one of those rounds, Valentina Shevchenko found herself in a rear naked choke, getting controlled on the ground. That's usually something she does, but a couple times she took this girl down and got immediately reversed. Santos was ready for it. She matched her strength with her own strength. And Valentina Shevchenko clearly won the final 2 rounds. So if you could see fit to give her a round in the first 3, then you could score it in her favor. But I didn't see it that way, and I was rooting for her. So I think this is just a case of bad judging. It happens. I know in close rounds, you have tendency as a judge to give it to the champion, but that one was one that I didn't feel got properly judged. Nonetheless, Valentina Shevchenko is still the women's flyweight champion, and that's, I believe, 9 in a row for her. She's 23-3. She's a legend, if you will.
Yep, and then you got the phenomenon herself, Weili Zhang. I don't know how come I can never catch her on a fight card, but every time she shows up, she shows out.
Yeah, she fought Joanna Jędrzejczyk, and then she got her with a spinning back fist. You don't usually see that particular move end fights, but it looked like she caught her like somewhere between the ear on the neck, and it just stunned her enough that Joanna just dropped onto her face, and that was it. She got up after the fight and announced her retirement. She's a former champion and another UFC, probably future Hall of Famer, but evidently she has seen enough. She said she wants to do other things. But yeah, that was an interesting fight. It was actually a pretty good fight. That happened in the second round. The first one was pretty evenly, matched back and forth fight. This whole card was pretty good from what I saw. But I saw a good amount of fights in that card the other night. I was also watching the Edgar Berlanga boxing match while this card was going on, and that was a dreadfully boring fight. And I actually didn't even watch the last couple rounds of that fight. And evidently Berlanga was given a generous decision in that one as well. So there were some generous decisions being handed out in the world of sports on Saturday night. But yeah, good card for the UFC. Next up is the Cannonier Adesanya pay-per-view coming up. Oh, and they just announced in August, Kamaru Usman is going to be fighting
Leon Edwards.
Yes. That's going to be the next fight. Yeah. Leon Edwards has been waiting for a title shot for years. He was one of those guys that just kept getting lined up for fights. And then when the pandemic hit, he kept getting pushed back. And then other guys, because they were considered more exciting fighters, got matched up, and Leon kind of got pushed back. Then he had a fight and poked the guy in the eye, and that fight ended in the first. It's been a long road for Leon. He ain't beating Kamaru Usman. I'm going to tell you that. I'm not seeing that. Usman's got some problems with these Russian guys that are coming up over the hillside, but I think he's going to win this fight here. So anyway, good night for UFC.
Good night for UFC. Good night for combat sports. And Scotty D said Edgar Berlanga wasn't really knocking anybody out, but he got a generous decision. And speaking of decision, fellas, the world of golf has just gotten very interesting, all right? We have a new league upon us. It is called the LIV Golf League, headed by Greg Norman, and Roy McIlroy had some real funny words and some real choice words for Greg Norman. So the LIV Golf League, what is it all about? Is it like a super golf league where I guess like they making more money? Or because I'm really intrigued about it, like what's going on with the PGA and the PGA suspending people. B-Live, do you know anything about the LIV Golf League?
Well, essentially what it is, it's an invitational league, but the couple key points about the league that a lot of people like to harp upon, it is Saudi backed. Like this is oil money turned into technology money that's turned into investments, and now they're investing more into the sports world, which also includes some soccer. There's a few other leagues that they're basically they got a lot of money to spend, and they're now spending it on the world of golf. And just a couple of key pointers when it comes to the golf invitation to LIV Golf is that they're giving major signing bonuses to some of golf's elite, and then some golfers along the way. This is, put it this way in perspective. Phil Mickelson has been one of the talking points. I'm just gonna say this. Phil Mickelson has won a lot when it comes to the PGA Tour, when it comes to major championships. He's definitely been one of the bigger names in the world of golf. He's still, now, I won't say a thing of the past because he did recently win a major, but when it really comes to top sports names when it comes to golf, Phil Mickelson is not really your major draw right now. But the LIV Golf Invitational, they said he's worth the money, and reports are saying that for him to come over to the LIV Golf Tour, they are signing him on for $200 million just to come over and play. This is not including playing the events and winning prize money. Dustin Johnson, upwards of $125 million.
Yeah.
Bryson DeChambeau has been hurt and shot, I think his last event, he shot 11 over. He got $100 million just to sign on. And so on and so forth. Just their inaugural event in London. Charles Schwartzel, I may have butchered his name. It is what it is. Y'all know who I'm talking about. You may not, because
Charles Schwartzel.
Yes.
Charles Schwartzel. He's a Masters winner. He's a major winner. I mean, he's a name as well.
Well, he won the inaugural event in London, and the winning prize money for him was $4.75 million. Let me put this in perspective. That one tournament, he won more in that one tournament on the LIV Golf Tour than the past 4 years combined earnings on the PGA Golf Tour. So this is very intriguing, to say the least. Let's take it a step further. Now LIV has become a competitor to PGA because they're basically poaching. They're paying the top players to come over and play in this league, which would take away from their appearances in the PGA Tour. The PGA Tour is like, hold. We ain't gonna have y'all doing this little double dipping thing where you here, there, gone tomorrow. You could do this and then come back over. No, we're not doing that. And immediately, as soon as the first tee, the ball was placed on the tee, PGA Tour said, all of y'all that were PGA Tour members are suspended. Woo! It gets even better because guess what the PGA Tour doesn't manage? They don't manage the major the major golf events, your US Open, your British Open, now known as the Open, and they don't manage the Masters. That's part of the USGA, the United States Golfing Association. So these guys can play the LIV Tour and play in the major events outside of the PGA Championship, which is managed by the PGA Tour. What is going on in the world today, especially when it comes to golf? And now you got people sparring against each other, saying little quips, a little jabs and everything. Scotty D, you're more familiar with what was Rory saying after his win at the RBC Canadian Open this week?
Roy was talking that trash, but go ahead, Scotty D.
Yeah, he has been a big proponent of sticking with the PGA, and Greg Norman is now the commissioner of this new league and has been spearheading this for quite some time now. And they had been going into the weekend tied for the most PGA Tour wins with 20 apiece. So Rory found a little bit of extra motivation to get it done this weekend. And when he did, he said, well, now I have 21 wins. I have more wins than that other guy, talking about Greg Norman. He did actually name him by name later on, but he referred to him as that other guy. And so it's divisive. You know, golf has always been a seemingly pretty, solid community when it comes to the PGA. And now this is, I believe, bad for golf. This isn't like this competition. It's not like we, as wrestling fans, we have our choice of AEW and WWE, and they make each other better. You know, if one show's good, the other show ramps up and they try to get better and back and forth. It's not like Burger King and McDonald's where if one comes out with a good new burger, the other is going to try to top it and do something. This is actually a case where all of the best players in the world, their goal was to get to the PGA. And now that has been changed by money. Now, it's hard to blame the players that are jumping ship because they are getting an unprecedented amount of money. They're getting money offers that they have never seen before. But it doesn't make it good for the game of golf. It's like we make fun of I do make fun of the USFL all the time for coming in, being a competitor to the NFL. Suppose the Bills, the Steelers, the Browns, the Chiefs all go to the USFL. Are you going to be happy to watch two products with the best teams on it? Or are you going to say the NFL is just not as good anymore? And the Super Bowl doesn't mean as much because the Rams win it again, but they didn't have to beat the Chiefs and the Steelers and blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. In the early days of the 80s, the better players were leaving to go to the USFL. We're not talking teams then, but individual players were leaving some of the better ones, Jim Kelly and Reggie White, Chris Carter, Herschel Walker. They went to the USFL for more money. They didn't grow up saying, I want to be in the USFL. They grew up wanting to be NFL players. When the more money, the bigger money arose, they went there. This is a little bit different because the Saudis have more money than the USFL had back then. You know, the USFL back then, they needed butts and seats to keep the league going. These Saudis are backed by like all what I was saying earlier, the oil money and all that stuff going on. And a lot of people have problem with it because of 9/11. Osama bin Laden was born in Saudi Arabia. Just a couple years ago, this Jamal Khashoggi was not only executed, but dismembered for the world to see. You know, he was a reporter for the Washington Post and had criticized the Saudi Arabian leader was bin Salman, and it cost him his life. So at the same time, I said it's hard to blame players because they say I'm doing this for a better opportunity for my family. By the way, that's crap when they say I'm just trying to feed my family. You want more money. If Dustin Johnson had a vending machine fall on him today and never earned another dollar, his family for generations is going to be fine. Okay, I mean, it's not because he's trying to feed his family. That's just a side note. But maybe the PGA has to step up too because they're culpable in this because their players are looking elsewhere for better opportunities. So maybe they should do some things to sweeten the pot. Maybe they should offer more guaranteed money to the middle players because that's where this is going. That's what Phil Mickelson has been championing, this kind of changes for the PGA Tour for years to try to, up the ante, get more money for guys that aren't like the superstar players. And so maybe the PGA needs to make some change. I mean, this LIV Golf tournament, they're trying to do something different, doing 54th hole tournaments with no cut and a shotgun start. I mean, that's not enough to get me interested. That's not going to make me interested. But maybe the PGA should consider making some change. Let the guys wear shorts or 2 days. Let them ride a golf cart for 2 days, and then on the weekends, whoever makes the cut, you got to walk something like that. But as a fan, this is not good because this is splitting the best players in the world, and the PGA is acting like a scorned girlfriend. And because their players are going to play on another tour, they're saying we don't want you to come back and play for us now. And I think that's a mistake because these guys are only playing like 6 to 10 dates for on this. Eight. Okay.
Yep. So,
by doing that, they're causing a bigger division. And I mean, if the U.S. Open, I mean, I guess for the majors, it's not going to make as big of a difference because they're all going to be able to play anyway. But for a regular tournament, and even like the President's Cup and Ryder Cup, you're going to have to be a PGA qualifying player to play on these, in these events. It doesn't mean as much if 9 major winners aren't there. I mean, 9 guys that have won major tournaments are playing on this LIV Golf tournament, and now they're not going to be there anymore. As a fan, I think it sucks. I mean, I know there's a lot of controversy, a lot of reasons why these guys are going. I get it. It's money. It's money, and it's a lot of money.
It's all about.
It's money. A lot of money, and some of these guys on the PGA are morally saying, "I don't want that. That's blood money. I don't care. I'm not doing it. I'm not taking the money." To each his own. But as a fan, for me, I think it sucks. Bottom line, I'm not making any of that money. I'm a guy who wants to sit and watch golf on Sunday afternoon and watch the best players compete for the top prizes. And I think it sucks.
Well, I'm watching the U.S. Open because I can guarantee you what's going to happen. It's going to happen this weekend. I think Phil Mickelson misses the cut. entirely. But at some point in time, you're going to have Rory McIlroy and Dustin Johnson possibly paired together, PGA versus LIV. Somehow, if you could give me Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau right now, yo! But
man.
That's the match we've been waiting for. That's the match we've been waiting for.
Just another talking point. Dustin Johnson, $125 million just to sign with LIV. Tiger Woods, his entire playing career, earned $121 million in PGA money. Of course, he's made more money with incentives and commercials and stuff like that. But Dustin Johnson literally just eclipsed Tiger Woods in earning money playing golf. How does that happen?
Well, Tiger was offered almost $1 billion to be part of this and turned it down. So Tiger didn't want any part of this. You know?
And
Tiger's good though. Tiger's good. He's like, I don't feel like going over there.
No cuts. The person shot 24 over and made $125,000.
Ain't that something?
That's not good for golf.
No.
Yeah.
I think you actually have to be good to play. You actually have to, be worth a damn. All right. That's enough for the golf talk, the LIV Golf League versus the PGA. Could it be a Sunday wars? I would say Sunday night wars, or kind of like the Wednesday night wars and the Monday night wars. We got some wars on the links. If you ask me, my little quick opinion, I think it's good for the sport of golf because rivalries. The society feeds off rivalries, and I think rivalries are good. I understand what you're saying, Scotty D. Blood money. A lot of people don't want to do with it from integrity aspects. I get it, fine and dandy. I fully understand, but I think rivalry is always good for the sport, and especially for a sport like golf. Coming up next, we're going to talk about Deshaun Watson right here on the Sports Bros Podcast. And we are back. And as promised, we are going to talk about the latest developments in the Deshaun Watson saga. I don't even want to call the situation at this point. It's a doggone saga. Right after we went off air, there's been more going on. There's been a whole lot more going on. He is the subject of 24 civil suits and has gone up since. New allegations. The Browns trying to figure out what's going on. Let's see. According to this report in the New York Times, the 66 women are 24. The 66 women are the 24 who have sued him, including 2 who have filed suits within the last week. In the most recent suit, the woman said Watson, did the business during the massage. A woman who sued but then withdrew the complaint because of privacy and security concerns. 2 women have filed criminal complaints against Watson but did not sue him, and at least 15 therapists who issued statements of support for Watson at the request of his lawyers and gave him massages during that period of time. Whoa, Lord, there's more. At least 4 therapists from Genuine Touch Massage Therapy Group contracted with Watson, with the Texans. 5 women identified by the plaintiff's lawyer during the lawsuit investigating civil suits. It goes on and on and on, fellas. It goes on and on and on. And I tell you, being right here, not too far away from Cleveland, Ohio, the city, it went from excitement to because this is a lot going on, fellas. This is a lot going on. What say y'all?
Can I have the floor for a little bit?
I got you.
I'm coming off of the happy birthday because my birthday was happy. It's still happy. I'm very happy, but I gotta take this. I gotta take that off because I gotta get real with this situation right here. I don't know what happens behind closed doors when it comes to anything, when it comes to the professional world and when it comes to professional sports. I'm a fan. I'm a fanatic. All roads lead to Dabo. I love my Clemson Tigers bleed orange. Deshaun Watson has always been a hero to me. I got to see not one but two national championship titles, one by him, one by Trevor Lawrence, Hunter Renfrow. I can go on and on about how much I admire Deshaun Watson. I cannot speak on I can't speak on what he does behind the scenes. So I'm not here to say yay or nay, to judge or anything of that nature. What I'm here to talk about is the way in the matter all of this came out. A court of law absolved Deshaun Watson of criminal wrongdoing. Let's put that out there. Now these are civil cases. People that got their feelings hurt, or they want to make a name for themselves, or want to be a part of something, or I genuinely could have actually felt, I don't know, I'm not here to judge it, but the way that this came out. And now the fact that the Houston, Texas organization has now been named a defendant in some of these cases should tell you everything. It has now been reported that Houston, Texas provided NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, for Deshaun Watson to give to these massage therapists. The Houston, Texas paid for the facilities that Deshaun Watson got these massages on. And the second that he decides, you know what, this is not the organization I want to be with. This is the organization I'm done. I'm putting my hands up. I want to be traded. I want to be out. All of a sudden, all of this starts to come out of the woodwork. This is unbelievable. This is like, for any conspiracy theorist, this screams of that. It reeks of just corporate undoing at the highest level. The kid just wanted to play somewhere else. And you pulled every little rabbit out of the hat to say, hey, you're going to play here, or we're going to da-da-da-da-da. You know this had to happen. To the massage therapists that have gone through this, I don't know what to say. Honestly, it sucks for women across the board. Anybody that's in that profession that have been treated unfairly, their voices have been quieted because of money, or on the side, or threats of like their privacy and their security. All kinds. There's so many layers of levels to the story. It is unreal. And we still, at this point in time, can't say yay or nay if he was right or wrong. Did he do something wrong? But now, where there's smoke, there usually is fire. We're up to it. It blows my mind. It sounds like maybe he likes massages. And it's just really, at the end of the day, that's all I can say. And I'm gonna tell you something else. Rusty Harden, his lawyer, I thought he was on a good track. You know what? I thought he was doing his best to defend his client. He was doing and making sure that the facts were out there, and that, like, he was in all kinds of other things. But boy, if he didn't put his foot in his mouth when he said that there was nothing illegal about quote unquote happy endings, I was like, dude, bro, shut up. Like, we as guys, let's just be candid, let's be honest. Yo, my dude, Broco, my man, why would you that right there? When he said that, I'm like, oh my God, this might be his undoing. Because not only like that right there, just really just it's not. It's the thing about it is, it's not. Where is guilt and innocence? What is right? What is wrong at the end of the day? It seems more solicitation, which yet still is a crime. I thought. I don't know. I don't know the legal system, but I would think at some point in time you're paying for services solicitation. I thought that was illegal. He's saying it's not. I don't know. But man, if this took a turn for the worse.
Well, here's the thing though. If the woman says it's going to be whatever, $200 for a massage, he pays the $200. That's a done transaction. One of these women are saying he was practically begging for oral sex. That was what they were saying. But is that against the law? Unless she would say, for another 100, I'll take care of that for you. then that would be solicitation. But if he's just saying, come on, do that for me because, you're a woman and I'm a man. If, none of these women are crying rape. They're saying that he was being a scumbag pretty much. So the investigation didn't turn up anything criminal, but the stuff.
It's not a good look.
It's not
a good look.
But if he says, please do that for me, that's actually not really a crime. I don't believe, if there's no like proposition monetary, no monetary proposition. If he just says, just come on, do that for me. That's not a crime. I don't know the wording. I don't know how it went down, but I think that's kind of what his attorney is getting at, is to defend him.
Say that?
I don't know. I'm just trying to tell you what I'm trying to see where he's coming from, because none of these women are saying that Deshaun Watson grabbed them, threw him on the table, and tried to force himself on him. So he's trying to, basically he's trying to portray him as just a dude looking to get a happy ending, not a guy who's sexually assaulting anybody. I think that's what he's trying to separate the one from another. What I want to know is what's the NFL doing here? Surely by now, we're like 2 weeks away from mandatory mini camps. They need to make a decision on this. They need to interview some of these women and find out what they have to say about it, and then go ahead and suspend him, because we kind of feel like it's inevitable they're going to suspend him anyway. So get on with it and let Jacoby Brissett get the reps.
I just feel this. Here's the thing. This is what sort of blows my mind. We are not naive. We've got to a nice, young, healthy age, 39, 40, and however many decades Scotty D.
In my 40s. Yeah.
But come on now, we grown. We've heard of terms. We've fantasized about a couple of things. Deshaun Watson can't possibly be the only person in the NFL, NBA, NHL, MLS, MLB, NASCAR, across the board. He can't. This is a powder keg, and I feel like
he's the dumbest, because athletes get women. They don't have to beg massage therapists for this kind of stuff. All you got to do is go to the club, throw $100 bill down, and there's going to be women that are going to be dying to go home with you. Why not do that? Why go to like an honorable profession? Because that's what these women are doing. These aren't like backroom spa girls like Robert Kraft was dealing with.
I knew. I saw that go. I saw that going on.
These are licensed, legitimate women, and he's turning it dirty on them. So that, I don't. To me, that's a dumb thing to do. Whenever athletes are chased from high school to the pros, the high school quarterback is looked at by other girls in high school as the guy you want to hang out with. He's the cool guy, the handsome guy. He's the guy I want to be around. And that carries all the way to the NFL. You don't have to beg. Just go find the right ones. Go find a willing partner. Don't get yourself into trouble. This is dumb on so many levels. Why? If you want a massage, get a massage, but just don't proposition these women. That's crazy to me. He dug himself into a bad, unnecessary situation that he didn't have to get into, because I liked the guy. I thought he was, like this cool, respectable young guy. And this is very strange, scumbaggy behavior to do this kind of stuff. Is it criminal behavior? Who knows? I wasn't there. I didn't hear the conversation. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But
a court has absolved them of all criminal doing. So
I get it.
I'm just come on, Rusty Harden. Come on, bro. You can't say that. You can't say what you said. And that right there just court of public opinion is gonna be bad. Yeah. And unfortunately, right now, the way it looks like the Cleveland Browns are just gonna be holding the bill, because guaranteed money, where there had to have been something in the contract. There had to have been something that they were like, hey, bro, hey, That but the way they're reporting it, $230 million guaranteed. Yeah. I just
it's a lot.
I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed more than anything.
Yeah.
It's just like, because everybody has their kinks. Here's the thing: everybody has their kinks, and now I've got to retract some of the things I said, because I couldn't believe it. Because I've seen the kid grow up. I've seen him just being. He's been upstanding for the majority part of what I've been watching him since high school. Break almost every single record in Georgia, which was actually eclipsed by the next heir apparent, Trevor Lawrence. Please, Trevor, please don't. But the Houston Texans had their hand in the cookie jar throughout this. They knew, and they started playing their cards. That's the part I'm waiting to see what the NFL does about the Houston Texans. They're just as guilty, and they've got to be held accountable. They had something to do with this. They had their hand.
They were trying to protect their investment, and
this is unreal. They can't be let scot-free off of this. Like, I'm almost to the point where this is what's my dude that was the owner of the Clippers?
Sterling.
This is almost on that level. Like, the owner down. Shoot, it happened to our Carolina Panthers. Jerry Richardson. This is on that type of level. I need to see that from the Houston Texans.
It's too bad that he didn't play for the Patriots, B-Live, because then the owner could have showed him the spots to go. He wouldn't have had to. He would have had to go through all this.
The inaugural member of the Sports Bros penalty box, Robert. Man, oh man, but yeah, this is going to be developing. We here at the Sports Bros podcast, we're not lawyers. We're not judges.
Nope.
We're not social activists. We're not that. That's not. We're fans. So what we say on the air here, what we say in this podcast, we do not intend to denigrate anyone. We are full advocates of basic, decent human beings. That's what we stand for. We don't know. We have no idea. We're just going off of what has been reported by other news outlets. We're not a news outlet. We are fans. We see something, we talk about it. We talk trash about it. God, Jesus. Rusty Harden, shut up.
All right, B-Live. I think Rusty Harden heard you for the third time, but it's just an unfortunate situation, man. I just hope everything gets resolved and people can move on and live their lives back to their regular scheduled programming. But fellas, as I look at my watch, guess what time it is?
What is this?
Thank God. Thank God it's
better.
time for buttons.
Yeah. It is about that time. B-Live, get that sweat off your forehead. Scotty D, get ready, because it is time once again for our favorite portion of the show. You know what time it is. The choices of the voices. With that being said, hey, yo, button, hit it. Choices of the voices coming up next.
And now, our favorite part of the show, the choices of the voices.
Once again, thank you to the wonderful and ever so lovely Miss Button for introducing our favorite portion of the show. You heard the woman is the choices of the voices section of the Sports Bros podcast. We ask you the question, you give us the answer, we talk about it, and we have some overall good, clean fun. With that being said, Scotty D, what's the question for this week's choices of the voices?
All right, so we went to the world of baseball, fantasy baseball, if you will, and said, if you're the GM, who are you taking? Jake Taylor, the catcher, and Wild Thing Ricky Vaughn of the Cleveland Indians from Major League, or Nuke LaLoosh and Crash Davis from the Bull Durham movie from the 80s. And we had a couple mixed responses here, Eddy Kool.
All right, let's go ahead and hop right into it right now. All right, we got Doug Hagen. He said, taking Ricky and Jake, already in the big leagues, and Crash proved he was a career minor league guy. Nuke didn't throw 100 miles an hour And that is something you cannot teach. So he's rolling with Wild Thing and Jake.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Matty Ice Martin Tracy, he says, I can't remember. I want the duo with the pitcher that doesn't wear women's underwear. What the hell is he doing?
Yeah, that was Nuke Lelouch wore the women's panties in Bull Durham, so he's going the opposite. He's also going with Wild Thing. Guess he didn't like that scene. Yeah, Jake. I think for some reason crashed. I can't remember the reason why. I told him to put on women's underwear when he was pitching to calm him down a little bit or something, and it worked. His control got better.
Wow, of all things. Moving right along, we got Ronnie Bellamy. He said, I'm trying to hit up the after party with Charlie's Sheen.
There you go. Wild Thing gets another one.
Yeah, Wild Thing, cool haircut and all. Terrible. Pete Talansky. What's up, buddy? He says, depends on which Ricky Vaughn we get. If Wild Thing shows up, I'll take him and Jake. But if the weak movie star Rick shows up, I'm taking Nuke and Crash.
That wasn't really an answer, but
yeah, kind of on the fence.
Yeah, playing both sides. All right. But an answer really is.
Well, actually, answer. Yeah, because I guess in the sequel, Ricky Vaughn was more like the movie star kind of. He got a little bit of fame. He wasn't as focused on baseball.
Okay. We'll allow it.
Yeah, we'll allow it. He was doing right guard commercials and stuff like that. Do they still make right guard deodorant, by the way? You remember that old joke? You remember that old joke?
Yeah,
you remember that old joke?
Yeah.
Hey man,
your arms stink so much you made right guard turn left.
I was like,
wow. Speed stick slow down.
Yeah, wow. Deodorant joke was crazy. I feel like I'm watching another episode of In Living Color.
All right. Oh my God.
All right, so here we go. Last but not least, we got Brian Lovell. He says Nuke and Crash. Period.
All right, so he's the only one that went all in on the Bull Durham guys.
Yep. All right, with that being said, shout out to Doug, shout out to Matty Ice, Ronnie Bellamy, Terrible Pete Talansky, and Brian Lovell for their contribution and participation in this week's Choices of the Voices. I'll go first. All right, so don't laugh, but I haven't seen either of these movies, but shout out to YouTube because you can find all kinds of stuff on YouTube. I had a chance to watch, to get bits and pieces of Major League 1, but I had a chance to watch the entirety of Major League 2 today, all right? And on the strength of that, I'm picking Wild Thing and Jake Taylor, all right? Reason being is because Jake Taylor's like, look, we got to get this team together. The manager, he got sick. He was in the hospital. He didn't know he was going to make it. So he went from being behind the plate to in the dugout. And then the rookie who couldn't throw to second base. And then he referenced him a Victoria's Secret catalog to get his mind together. That's genius. That's just genius. That's just genius. Here, son, read this. And he was reciting to the one guy to the White Sox about, hey, it's X amount for sale and the broadsides, and the guy was like, what in the hell is going on here? It worked. Obviously it worked. And Ricky Vaughn, he went corporate because you remember when he pulled up the spring somebody pulled up in the heart in the spring training and it wasn't him and said he pulled up in a limo and they was like, wild what? And then, it was an up and down season, went through management. The owner, she was cussing. She didn't like him. She was happy when they lost. And the one guy, he turned his hat inside out and everything. But they put it together when it counted the most. So I'm going with Wild Thing, Ricky Vaughn and Jake Taylor. Over to you, Scotty D.
All right, I'm going to go the opposite way. I'm taking Nuke and Crash. Comparing catcher to catcher, Jake's at the end of his career and his knees are shot. And Crash, I know he didn't get to the major leagues, but for just a cup of coffee. But he did hit the most home runs in minor league history for catcher, I think, if that was what he did at the end of the movie. So he's serviceable. He could conceivably be almost on Jake's level, maybe not quite, but Nuke is a young pitcher. He's an up-and-coming pitcher. He's getting his control together. Ricky Vaughn had a history of being in and out of jail. He's been in some trouble. His last season in the major league and then going to major league, it could have been a flash in the pan kind of thing, but it had some arm problems because he wasn't under control. Nuke LaLoosh was learning to pitch at the minor league level. He's getting better and better and better. So I'm going Nuke and Crash. Plus, Nuke actually then got arrested and escaped Shawshank and got Morgan Freeman down to the blue ocean and one of the greatest movies of all time, Shawshank Redemption. So I'm going with Shawshank in this one. V-Live, who you got?
All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this out the way. I didn't appreciate the history assignment when this question came down.
Wow.
Because I said what I said because Major League was released in 1989. I was 7 years old. Bull Durham was released in 1988. I was 6 years old. I've seen both movies, but the amount of time that has passed since I've seen both of these movies, there's been entire distilleries that I have poured down my throat and went through my liver.
Crying out loud.
So,
have you ever seen Caddyshack? It was born before it was out before you were born.
Yes, I've seen these movies, sir. I get it. You like to go down memory lane and nostalgia. I'm just saying my memory doesn't serve me quite well. I thought about rewatching both of these movies. Yes, I know that. At no point in time did I ever say that I wasn't getting old. Father Time is putting a beating on me. You know what I'm saying? I did not sign up for a UFC main event against Father Time. I did not sign up for that at all. I'm getting beat up here. It is what it is. But I will say this. I thought about rewatching the movies. I did not because I somehow got sucked into binge watching Stranger Things out on Netflix and hoping for some sponsorship money. All right, but really at the end of the day, Wild Thing had its own theme music. Just at the end of the day, when you get the entire crowd behind you coming out to pitch one inning, you don't get who else in baseball gets their own theme music. There's my answer. But if you really want to talk about baseball movies, Nuke
can give you more innings, though. Nuke gives you more innings.
I understand that.
He's a starter.
That's what I said. I'm going with the closer, shut him down. But if you really want to give me a baseball movie, give me Bernie Mac and Mr. 3000.
Oh.
I know it had nothing to do with what you were asking, but that's what I do anyway. I do what I wanted. I do what I want. I said what I said. And
Fair enough.
I did say Wild Thing. I'm going Wild Thing. There you go.
Yep. And I was like, oh, why does this song sound familiar? I was like, oh, we hear it every Wednesday on AEW. It's John Moxley music. Because I'm like, where John Moxley? And I was like, oh, so this is where, okay, I got it. This is where it came from. Little known fact, that was his theme music in the Indies, which means I wonder how much Tony Khan is paying for license fees to use that, the Baltimore song, and some other stuff, because it can't be cheap to use. I'm just saying.
Oh, you're right. I was thinking because of those indies, like the rest of themselves as contractors, like maybe signed an agreement with because they can't use the song without what's
permission.
Yeah, they can't use it without permission. So that's all the stuff behind the scenes that again I don't know nothing about.
Well, you know, if it's in the Indies, maybe they don't know it all.
It ain't Indies no more.
Not no more. All right, Scotty D, what's on tap next week for Choices of the Voices?
All right, we're going to ask you to name any player in any pro sports Hall of Fame that you think should not be in there. Either maybe they've done something you think they should get pulled out of it, or you just think they shouldn't have got put in the first place. Any sport, any Hall of Fame, pick a player you think should not be in that Hall of Fame and get him out of there. And that's going to give us something to talk about next week.
Ooh, you just coming with the hot. Oh, that's gonna be controversial. I'm ready for it. I need that on all of our. I need that on all of our platforms. That could be a whole episode by itself.
Yeah, you ready? It could be a whole episode by itself. All right. With that being, what was you about to say? Be live.
I was about to say that. I know enough. Oh boy, there's a couple of people that have popped in my head already. I'm ready to talk trash right now.
Cash money.
Wait for it.
Wait for it. Yep. Save it for next week. That's been another edition of the Choices of the Voices. Coming up next, not paper, but pepper. And remember, don't sneeze, baby. Pepper coming right at you.
Okay, boys, let's bring it home with a round of pepper.
Well, you heard the woman. It's time for us to go home and get what I call the hell up out of here. But before we go, we got to hit you with a round of pepper. You know how we do it. 3 topics, rapid fire style, kind of, sort of, not really. Here to engage, educate, enlighten, and entertain. All right. And with that being said, I'll go first. On this day in history, back in 1974, Nolan Ryan of the California Angels, that's right, they were called the California Angels before they were called the LAA, the ACP, and all them Angels, right? He strikes out 19 Red Sox in 12 innings. Can someone
19?
Yeah, can somebody go check on Robin Ventura and make sure he still got them dents in his forehead? Yeah, but yeah.
Well, how many names have the Angels had? I mean, the California Angels, they've been the LA Angels. Then they were the Anaheim Angels. Then they were the LA Angels of Anaheim. And it was like, and Angels in the, speaking of baseball movies, Angels in the Outfield. But yeah, I digress again. But yeah. I stepped out of turn. I apologize for my outburst.
It's all good, B-Live. It's all good, B-Live. So yeah, Nolan Ryan, a bad man. Then, now, and forever. Over to you, Scotty D.
All right, so Nolan Ryan, he was doing his thing. When was that, Eddy Kool?
1974.
1974. At that point, I think Tony La Russa was like 60, and he's still managing in the major leagues. And just last week, he came under fire because he intentionally walked the guy with 2 strikes. I don't know if you heard this one or not, but It was he was the manager of the White Sox playing the Dodgers. And Freddie Freeman's on first base, and Trey Turner's at the plate, and there's a 1-2 count, and the pitcher throws a wild pitch. Freeman then goes to second, and La Russa immediately puts up 4 fingers to put Trey Turner on so he can face Max Muncy, who in the 6-5 game then delivers a 3-run home run, and the White Sox never recovered. The funny part was, as he was doing it, a fan audibly yelled, "There's 2 strikes, Tony." So everyone from the fan to the reporters after the game to me sitting here at this moment are questioning, why would Tony La Russa do such a thing? And he defended it boldly at the post-game press conference saying this stat and that stat. This is why we did it. We like to take our chances with Muncy because Turner had a better average against lefties with 0-2 counts. Something really ridiculous when you think about the fact that the guy had 2 strikes on him. And if you do want to put him on, maybe you throw one in the dirt, Tony, and maybe he chases and gets a strike. It's kind of the intentional, unintentional walk. Either way, you can't just give a guy with 2 strikes a free base because something like this might have happened. And I think Tony La Russa is about to follow Joe Madden and Joe Girardi out the proverbial managerial door here in 2022, because as it stands at this moment that we're speaking, the White Sox are 27-31, 6 games behind the Twins in the AL Central. It's not looking good. He's coming under a lot of fire and every decision scrutinized. Might be about time for Tony to take that walk because you just don't do that.
You don't.
Bad move. Do better, Tony, because we know you can. Be live. Over to you.
All right. Well, I will, from this moment on, after hearing that pepper point, I will refrain from all old jokes, from moving on out from anyone else besides Tony La Russa, because that was just old. That was dementia. That he's over here trying to, that. I don't. What analytics was he looking at? Ever? I'm gonna leave that.
It wasn't good.
I'm gonna leave that alone. All right, let me try to do this again because I like my all roads lead to Dabo, and I want to bring it back to a lighter, more promising note because of a kid that graduated from Scotty High School by way of Myrtle Beach. Was a walk-on wide receiver at the University of Clemson. Ended up being a national champion and ended up earning a scholarship at Clemson. Caught the game-winning catch from aforementioned Deshaun Watson. Was drafted in the 5th round of the NFL draft. Just a few days ago, secured, even though it's not as big as some of these other contracts, the man has an NFL contract extension where they added 2 more years to his contract, totaling $32 million. He will be a Las Vegas Raider through the year 2024, which adds on to the total of money that the Las Vegas Raiders have doled out in deals this year to a whopping $440 million in deals that the Las Vegas Raiders have paid out. They are shelling that money. And on top of that, they may end up owing John Gruden some money. But that's a whole other situation. Eddy Kool.
Ooh.
Dub off.
In the words of legendary comedian Chris Rock, good Lord, that's a lot of money. Yeah, that is that's a lot of money. And I think they're gonna be real good this year. All right, so we know a few weeks ago that Nick Saban had some stuff to say about Texas A&M, and they paid their players too. I'm gonna tell on everybody, go tell it on the mountain. Yeah. So Nick Saban, in a poor attempt to inspire his Alabama boosters to give him some more money to get some more players, had some things to say about Jimbo Fisher. And then Jimbo Fisher came back and hit his ass with that ether, lit him up, lit his ass up, lit him up. And then, Nick Saban was like, well, hey, man, I'm sorry. Let's have Thanksgiving dinner. You can forget all about that. That's done. Christmas presents done, fall call done, everything, right? Well, Texas A&M said, you know what? We're going to write a letter to SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey. And it goes as follows. They said, we write to express Texas A&M University's disappointment and outrage at the recent statements made by Alabama University head coach Nick Saban that A&M bought every player on their team, bought every A&M player on their team made a deal for name, image, and likeness, all right? Coach Saban's statement was a blatant violation of SEC bylaws regarding sportsmanship. More significantly, without citing any facts to support his statement, Coach Saban is accusing every single player in Texas A&M recruiting class and current football team for violating NCAA NIL guideline and Texas state law. This is a classic case of sometimes you got no one to shut the hell up. Sometimes that voice got to put his hand on your shoulder and be like, now, if you say this could turn out bad. Are you willing to die on this hill? But circle the date on the calendar, fellas. October 8th, Alabama, Texas A&M. More fuel to the fire. I got to take that deal because I got to watch it. I got to watch it. Over to you, Scotty D.
Speaking of the hill and needing to shut the hell up, Tyreek Hill on a recent podcast, it needed to be said, which I believe is his podcast, trying to make some waves, trying to get things going, said that Tua is more accurate than Patrick Mahomes. Buddy, stop it. just stop it. You played with the best quarterback in the league, and you were somehow, for some reason, unhappy. He said they were holding you back. I think he caught at like 1,900 yards or something ridiculous last year, and like a dozen touchdowns to go with a dozen drops. So you could have maybe not been held back if you caught a couple more of those. What are you doing to Tua, buddy? Because now everybody's going to really be clamping down watching Tua, because Patrick Mahomes really doesn't have much else to prove at this point about how great he is. Tyreek Hill, I'm just laughing at you for that one, buddy. I gotta laugh at that. You got to do better. Be live to you.
Boy, I'll tell you what. Tua, we're now going to be watching to see how much more accurate you are.
Yeah.
Than Patrick. That's just way.
Didn't do him any favors. Exactly.
Zero favors. Golly, Tyreek Hill, you good, bro? There's no need to hype him up like that. Just say we're gonna put it on the field. We're gonna do what we need to do. All right, let's take it to college baseball, because so it doesn't get as much coverage here on Sports Bros podcast, but we're getting into the thick of things when it comes to the College World Series, and there's 7 out of 8 teams that have clinched as of this moment on Monday evening, with one game to go. But man, has it been rough for my dudes on the Eastern Seaboard. Whew. ECU falls at home. North Carolina falls at home. I believe UConn was at home too. They lost. Tennessee, the number 1 team in all of college baseball, they go down. Louisville goes down. Man, yeah, I'm gonna need y'all to do just a little bit better. But you got some of the stalwarts there. You got Ole Miss, Texas, Oklahoma. Notre Dame was the one that shocked the world and took down Tennessee. Stanford took down UConn. So the College World Series is all but set. We'll see what Auburn does later on this evening. And congratulations to the Oklahoma Lady Sooners for winning the Women's College World Series in softball, and they won it in convincing fashion. Congratulations to them. And the men could do the same. It could be quite interesting. Oklahoma versus Texas. Can we see it in the men's baseball side of things as well? We shall see. Eddy Kool, the ball.
All right. The College World Series and Women's College World Series, very interesting around this time of the year. All right, third and final pepper point. Of course, I got a lot going on between working 2 jobs and doing everything else. I managed to squeeze out another podcast this past week, the I-90 Sports Podcast. If you're in the Northeast Ohio area, particularly the Lorain County area, myself and my co-host Dave Rivera, we had episode 2 of the I-90 Sports Podcast. And we gave you a scheduled preview of all 17 teams right here in Lorain County. Check us out, I-90 Sports Podcast. We talk about sports on a local level, high school sports, that is. And got to do it one time for Lorain County, one time for Northeast Ohio. So check us out, I-90 Sports, the podcast. Over to you, Scotty D.
Excellent. All right. So listen to this stat for a quarterback in a single season: 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 3,563 yards passing with a 63% completion rate and a 95.9 QBR. A road playoff victory in Pittsburgh, 11-5 regular season record. You know who that is? Baker Mayfield in 2020. Pretty nice numbers. Mm-hmm. Seattle currently has Drew Lock and Geno Smith. Get this guy, Seattle, get this guy. Because last year, this dude, his stock went down because he was playing hurt. He had a tear in his left shoulder. He went out there and gutted it out, and he wasn't great. But those stats I just read you are not bad stats. I mean, that's a good starting quarterback stat. He's not going to be playing in Cleveland. That toothpaste is out of the tube. Baker's not coming back. I mean, you threw him aside for a guy who quit on his team a year ago and likes massages. Rewind to get more information on that in case you missed that earlier conversation. But and a guy that not only quit on his team, they guaranteed his full contract of what was it? Be live $900 million for whatever it was.
It's not. What you're not gonna do on this show. You're not gonna bash my dude. You're not gonna do that. He did not quit on the team. The team quit on him. when they traded off freaking Nuke Hopkins. Why would you trade away?
Is that your pepper point?
No, it is not.
Then time out you, and let me finish, because he quit, did not go to play for Houston last year. They even went and got him a new head coach because he didn't like the old guy, and he didn't play. He quit on his team last year. He didn't play, and he got rewarded with a fully guaranteed $900 million contract, and he's taking Baker Mayfield's place. Baker can still play. Go get him, Seattle. Be live. The rest of your pepper point, the floor is yours.
Wow.
the disrespect, I swear, folks. All right. I'm not going to do this. I'm not. You're baiting me to change my pepper point. You're baiting me. I'm not going to take the bait. My pepper point has got some pepper to it of its own. And Scotty D, I'm going to need your help on this because I think you're more well versed in sports books and betting than I am. But I want to throw this out there. So I'm going to throw out some stats as well of this NFL quarterback. Over the course of his career, he has thrown 5 touchdown passes with 2 interceptions over the course of 6 games, which he started 2. He is 41 of 71, which is a 57.7% completion rate, and 603 yards. He has a 97.3 QB rating over his career. Those are ungodly numbers, right? Just astounding. Well, according to Caesar Sportsbook, they are betting on this guy more than Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes combined to win MVP this year. Any guesses? You got it. Trey Lance has got more money in the Caesar Sportsbook than Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers combined. He was a 200-1 favorite. Now it's gone to 60-1, and that is still awaiting the days that Jimmy G is actually no longer on the team because he still hasn't officially been named the starter of the team yet. But people are banking on the long odds and maybe cashing in just a crazy payday. But they think that Trey Lance would be a much safer bet than Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes for the NFL MVP. I wish I could make this up, but you know how I like to come with a third and final pepper point. Trey Lance, front runner for the NFL MVP.
I don't believe it. I can't believe that.
In the words of Steve Harvey,
what your ass say? This story has come to from FoxSports.com. This is not a dream.
The weed must be real good in Vegas. It got to be real good.
But I can see that you want to take your $10 bet and stretch it longer than betting on. For sure.
The Avalanche, yeah.
Yeah.
But that Trey Lance, really?
The hell.
Yeah, let's just pack it up and go home after that.
He better be good. And influencing.
All right, y'all. Let's get the hell up out of here and watch a little bit of Monday Night Raw and eat some food. All right. That's been, ladies and gentlemen, it's been another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast. As always, thank you for watching/listening. All right. We greatly appreciate it now more than ever. And in closing, do something nice for yourself. And if you can, do something nice for someone else. They'll greatly appreciate it now more than ever. If you can be a blessing, please be a blessing. And don't be a burden, because who wants to be a damn burden? I don't like that. And you should not either. It's been another episode on the Sports Bros Podcast. See you next week. Hopefully I can get up without tearing my knees up. And hopefully my knees don't sound like the 4th of July when it goes snap, crackle, and pop. Be loud, take us home.
Yes, sir.
Bye, y'all. See you next week.
Hey, it's Eddy Kool here from the Sports Bros Podcast. And do you want some more of the Sports Bros Podcast in your life? Wait a minute, don't answer that. The answer is yes. And I know you want some more of the Sports Bros Podcast in your life. Do us a small favor. Go to the description box, click our Linktree link, and you'll see all the links on how to follow the Sports Bros Podcast. Once again, thanks for listening.